Alright. I don't know who wants to begin. I don't think I have the authority to start.
Star Wars.
That's it? That's your opener?
Yeah.
Alright.
That's the answer. We're done.
Okay, wrap it up, boys.
So Mandalorian season 2.
We're just gonna get to it. No introduction. Just this is it.
People want to know who we
I
are.
don't know.
No, just fucking
I
figure
don't
it out.
know how you want to organize this, so
Oh,
you
this
guide
is.
me.
By the way, this is all going in the edit. I'm not gonna cut this. We're
What?
just
Can
Can
gonna
you
go.
cut around it with like static in between?
Maybe. Alright, so for the whole 5 people that will see this when it first comes out,
Including us, right?
yes, we're 3 of them. New project we want to start. Bi-weekly, weekly podcast type thing on Star Wars, where it's theories, upcoming content, discussing what has already come out. For this particular one, we're doing Mando Season 2, because that just wrapped up, and there's a lot to unpack. And given the constraints of disease, probably good for us to have discussion, and then to throw it out to people to get their takes and reactions as well. So this is what we're doing, and there's going to be obviously spoilers for Season 2, but also probably, given the nature of it, spoilers for Clone Wars and Rebels, and potentially other stuff down the line. That's an intro. Long-winded one, but an intro, instead of just Star Wars.
Good enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we want to go around and introduce ourselves too?
Come on, man.
What do we even say? His name?
I'm Austin. If this is going up on Parallel Horizons, you've heard my voice plenty of times. Yes, it's my display. Right, there's Matt. He's here sometimes. And that's Peter. This was... Oh, shit. This was his idea, kind of. We had the idea first, and then he's like, but what if we did it? And now we're doing it.
Making things happen.
Yes.
He's the catalyst, yes.
And then I'll link whatever social you want me to link. And there we go.
Okay, nice, yeah. It'll be in the description or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Is it awkward enough for you, Peter? Is this what you imagined when you said podcast?
I only imagined the Star Wars part of it, so.
So everything else was just, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, not a thought.
Alright. So, fellas, Season 2. Absolute masterpiece, I'd probably say.
I agree.
Definitely, I agree.
A lot that adds to the universe, and a lot that for Din as a as a character, does a lot to help flesh him out.
Yeah, I was a little worried at first because I felt like they were introducing a whole bunch of characters that would potentially take away from the spotlight. Because, the Mandalorian was focused on Din at first. And then it started to introduce all these new people each episode. I was like, oh no, Ahsoka, I'm hyped to see her because I love Ahsoka. But at the same time, I don't want it to take the spotlight off of Din's story and Grogu's story, But I don't think it did. I think each character served their purpose in growing Din and teaching him about his relationship with his kid. So I actually really liked that a lot.
I think, considering, we don't know yet how long they're planning for the show to be, right?
I think they were renewed up to 4 seasons, but I don't know if that's confirmed, and I don't know if they plan to go further than that.
Considering the length of it, even if it stops at 4 seasons, I think focusing one season with a bunch of Clone Wars and Rebels characters, it really doesn't take away from the show. It's just these are characters that you're familiar with. I'm not crazy about the sequels, as you guys may know, but something that the sequels did, which wasn't a problem, it was expected, was they brought back the original crew in the beginning, and people just expected that. So I don't think it's very different to throw in a bunch of Clone Wars characters into this.
I think given the context of what season 1 was, where it was all brand new stuff, very very little referencing to the original source material. I think that's what kind of caught people off guard originally. Of he was his own character, and even though this is the same galaxy we've been to before, it's mostly new locales and new stories. So to have all this other material that's not just the original trilogy, but all the current expanded stuff like Clone Wars and Rebels, that I guess would have had people worried, but also it's Dave Filoni has a big hand in it, so I don't see the worry because obviously he knows how to work with these characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I think more of the concern is just how they executed those characters.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
How they executed them and how maybe they connected to his story, which I guess ultimately the only one that doesn't seem to connect too much and was kind of neat was just Ahsoka. Other than just saying go find someone else. I'm busy with other shit. But that, as we've learned, it's most likely a plug for her show instead of actual world building for Mando specifically.
Yeah, and I think they needed an episode to introduce that spear, the only thing that could counter like the dark saber besides a lightsaber, you know. And I guess that was like the easiest way to do it. Just why not, you know, have Ahsoka come in and introduce a little bit about the Jedi, introduce a little bit more about what Grogu's training could mean, and then lead it into that while also expanding the potentials for the shows.
And then I want to say towards the latter half of the season, they did a good job of setting up for sequel trilogy stuff and making the world feel much more connected, because I think that's what those movies lacked. Is even though it was not a super significant time leap, it was enough of a point where it kind of felt disconnected of like how the First Order even get established in the first place. How does this new republic function? We see a little bit of that with the pilots, and then as I brought up to Matt much earlier when it first happened, the prototype dropships, which it didn't hit at first, and I'm like, oh, those are very, and the only reason I know is because of Battlefront, seeing too many of them.
Yeah, I think we were talking about the engines looking different at the back, but they were pretty much the same like shape as the ones used in I think The Force Awakens, when they're burning down that planet that Lor Santek is on, where like Kylo Ren like freezes that laser. So I think that was a super like hard catch, and I definitely didn't realize that that's what it was. So that was cool.
You were gonna say something, Pete?
I think the only thing that I really caught in that episode was the whole Snoke thing, or just like the precursor of their cloning.
Which has it been said, or I'm sure it's been discussed, but anyone have any like headway on what that one specific clone was? Because it's of someone, but I don't. Does it have any relevance yet?
I don't think they've said anything. I think it was just supposed to reference like that they've been working on it like from this far back. I think like the only goal the whole time was to clone the Emperor.
Okay. So I guess that helps explain that a bit more. I wish the sequence of all this was different. Because I think if we had this set up in Mando, even though it, in the grand scheme of things, it's a smaller project than the movies, right? Yeah. Even though it's not like a required watch, to have this kind of context that could lead us to figuring out what's going on in the sequels rather than just being like, yeah, here it is, figure it out. We'll do it later. Could have helped them a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that also just goes back to like they really didn't know what they were doing with the prequels after Force Awakens. At least, like I think they, like J.J. Abrams knew what he wanted to do. He was like, all right, let's make it kind of like the first movie again, except new characters, and then the next director will get it. And then the next director did not get it and made Last Jedi. Not a fan, but they're just like there just wasn't.
No one was talking to each other.
Right. It was just like we'll make good Star Wars movies because we know how, but they don't really work with each other or the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
I was just thinking to myself yesterday, like, there's all these Clone Wars references and stuff, and in like Imperial Age and post Empire, and I was thinking, like, are there any? Do they even refer to the Clone Wars at all, or like that era in the sequels? I don't think they do.
I think they only made one like brief mention in The Force Awakens of I think it was Phasma's troop when Finn was first having his issues of like I don't want to fight, I don't friggin' know. I think Hux said something of like, oh, we'll replace your unit with a clone unit or whatever. But I think that was it.
I don't even remember that.
Remember,
but not that I'd even like expect them to like bring the Clone Wars into that or anything. Just like the fact that they were just like, okay, Star Wars, we're gonna make a movie that feels like Star Wars and not really connect anything else to it aside from that first movie where they were like, all right, yeah, Han, Chewie, whatever.
Yeah, I think the only time we heard them talk about Clone Wars was like in some interview outside of the movies where they're talking about like they fly now and that line, and John Boyega was like, yeah, they've had the jump pack since the Clone Wars. Like like that was the only time we ever really heard anything, and it was like in an interview, which is like a little disappointing, but at the same time, I actually didn't on rewatches, I don't really mind the sequels as much, I think, as I thought I did. I find them like The Last Jedi, I find just cinematically beautiful. Like the way it's shot and the color grading is really, really nice. Um, and like some scenes I have some this is what I think overall there's a lot of depth that introduced and to be built upon that isn't built upon in the next movie, you know, in Rise of Skywalker. And I like Rise of Skywalker too. Like some parts of it were cool, and like that super like base boosted lightning scene was like sick. But upon rewatches, some stuff doesn't really make sense, and I think that's kind of like the theme where in all the Star Wars movies, there's stuff that just doesn't make much sense, but given time, they age a little bit, and then people come in like Filoni, and they come in and expand upon things that are mentioned upon the world, and then you get really into the characters. Like through the Clone Wars, no one would have known about the relationship between the clones and the Jedi until like that show really dove into it. You know, I mean, the expanded universe Legends did a little bit, but Clone Wars really made that emotional pull of Order 66 really hit. You know.
Yeah.
I think having taken bits from Legends and then being able to organize it and make it a mainstream thing definitely helped. Because I'm sure, not that I know off the top of my head, I'm sure Legends did a lot to make it interesting and to make you feel some emotion when it happened. But his something about the way he orchestrated it and was able to plan it out and take the best bits is what kind of helped um, make not just the people invested in Star Wars have emotions during certain moments where it's like that's kind of weird, but to have a lot of people who have a vague interest in Star Wars be interested in the world a lot more than they would have been.
Yeah, I agree. It's like a gate that kind of like opens to a much wider field of like potential to enjoy, I think.
Because I think prior to that point, it was very, you had to be like a dedicated Star Wars fan if you wanted to find out all these things. But now, I think since Clone Wars, it's we've had stuff like Rebels, Mandalorian, and now a whole bunch of shows that are going to open up this world and are exciting to a lot more people than they would have been, um, because of his work on that.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I've actually gotten a few people ask me like, "Hey, I just started watching The Mandalorian and I have questions. Like, do you have any answers that could help build this world out?" And I'm like, "Oh boy, do I
yeah,
have like an excitement now because so many people are being introduced through the TV shows and that's super hype because I just want more friends to talk about Star Wars with, you know?"
yeah.
I feel it. Uh, you guys want to discuss controversy?
Was there any real like controversy this season?
In plot, I mean, like not like nothing
No,
exciting in terms of
I
what.
know, but I'm just trying to think like
Well, I got one.
most. Okay, go for it.
The dark saber.
Oh, okay,
um,
like plot. Okay, okay, I'm
yeah.
done.
Like how uh, Bo-Katan wouldn't take it from Din, but she took it from Sabine.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, this is a big thing
I
that I
think
was like, "Oh, whoa."
Matt, you're the one that's gonna be experienced on this, so you.
You go first, you go first.
And no, I don't know as much. I just have vague ideas and understandings of it was a different time and she was more desperate to get what she needed. So obviously she'd take it then, but given something's happened back on Mandalore where she needs to earn it rather than just having it, I think that is what is creating that conflict, and I'm glad they didn't address it at the end. I'm glad they left that open because now it's something else to look forward to in season 3 or Book of Boba if they touch upon it in that at all.
Yeah. So I think as of right now in canon, we don't know what happened during like the Great Purge. Uh, we so far all that's happened is we see the Siege of Mandalore in Clone Wars season 7, where Maul is in charge, you know, and then we see Rebels, where Sabine Wren recovers the dark saber after Maul's killed by Obi-Wan, and uh, which means like who has the dark saber if they're killed outside of combat with the dark saber, you know, I mean without the dark saber, you know, because then I think it sits with no rightful holder because it wasn't won in combat, but they died, so he can't own it anymore, you know. So I think by her recovering that, Sabine kind of became the rightful ruler ish, but because she didn't win it in combat, maybe she just thought she could just give it away, and Bo-Katan also thought, yeah, I guess I could just take it. But I don't know if Bo knew how Sabine recovered it. I think she just saw it and was like, "This is what I need to unite my people right now." Um, and after the decimation, where the purge happened and like the Empire just completely destroyed Mandalore, like turned it to glass, as Boba said. Um, I think Bo-Katan is probably now realizing maybe if I did things differently, maybe if I actually won it in combat or like did it the traditional Mandalorian way, things would not have been this way. Because she also mentions that if we had fought the Empire with this amount of whatever, like she says some line, um, then we wouldn't be in this mess when she's speaking to Cosca Reeves when she's fighting Boba. And I think what happened was she thinks that she needs to earn this saber some way to fully unite the people in the way that they should be instead of I guess just taking it because maybe people didn't see her as the rightful ruler.
Okay. It's a lot.
I get that. I just I know they'll cover it in season 3. It's just like a lot to imply with already having given it in the past. So I just thought it was weird that they did it like that. Also, just from like more of a, like a logic perspective, it's like they're on a Star Destroyer, and like here's the Darksaber. Like who on Mandalore is gonna know? But yeah, I get it.
I guess I think there's two parts of it. With what you're saying, Peter, if they're on a Star Destroyer, who's gonna know? If she wants to be a rightful ruler and not just a dictator, she'd have to have that honesty with her people. She can't just say, "I took this from Gideon," because she didn't. She can't. I think her as a character, if she lied about that, that would kind of eat away at her and steer her down a path that she wouldn't want to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think another part of it, of why maybe she didn't take it, rather than just the whole combat thing, is when Sabine got it, she was a true Mandalorian, I guess. Like, she had actual parentage on Mandalore and wasn't in Din's position where he's part of the Watch and he's not really a Mandalorian. He was taken in, so I guess saying I recovered this from one of our own, as opposed to I recovered this from the opposite faction. He just gave it to me. Now there's a debt over her head to Din, and her people probably wouldn't respect her as much if it's like you just took it from him, like you didn't show him your worth or whatever, without knowing the full context of the situation.
Yeah, I just realized something. You mentioning that when Maul gets the Darksaber and like he has like the control of Death Watch behind him, and like when Bo-Katan decides she's gonna just run away from Death Watch and Maul, she screams something like an outsider will never rule Mandalore or something like that. So if that's still the position she's holding, then maybe that's why she feels so like
That's a good point.
conflicted about Din having that saber now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Also,
didn't think about that.
Super Destroyer. They're on an Arquitens class light cruiser.
Okay, all right, Matt. You don't
It's
need
like a
to.
small-
It's a type.
You don't need to flex. We get it. You're
I
the
know my Star
expert.
Destroyers. Thank you.
It's okay. It's okay.
Who manufactured it then? Yeah, exactly. You're not a real Star Wars fan. I don't know the answer to that.
I definitely don't.
Alright, so that's, I guess that's one plot point. Actually, I brought this up to Matt earlier. Another route that they could take with the Darksaber down the line is have season 3 be more, Mandalore based, because like we've been learning bits and pieces of the culture in depth, um, with these 2 seasons, but maybe now that he's dealt with both sides of the spectrum of the Watch and Boba and Bo-Katan and her followers, he's gotten kind of a new perspective on Mandalorian culture, and now that he has the Darksaber, he could have power to influence that. So maybe next season's potential challenge is focusing on a lesser scale, on more of a, like, I guess not civil war, but a just reuniting people, and his journey could be getting these 2 factions back together and finding a way to cooperate with one another and take back what is both of theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do see season 3 going in that direction. Like, they need to compensate somehow for the fans that are just watching for Grogu. And I think the best way to do that is to make it like non-stop something's happening, and I think the best way to do that is to go to Mandalore, because I feel like it just has to be chaos. Assuming like I don't know. I'm assuming that there's still like they still got its like large population and all. Aside from Boba saying that it was turned to glass, because typically across sci-fi that means like it's like a desert planet. Um, but yeah, assuming Mandalore is still like inhabited and whatever, I think that the best move would be to spend season 3 there and basically just do what you said.
I'm sure it's like overrun with some like outlaw or anarchy, something across those lines, which would be partly up Din's alley, having doing bounty hunting for a while. So it could be a new challenge in the familiar situation for him, on top of having to develop some kind of skills as a leader rather than a scavenger.
Let me ask you guys: do you think that we're gonna see the armorer again?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think she'll be a key player in the next season. Actually,
yeah,
I
it
I think it'll be interesting, like post Din like kind of letting go of his faith uh, for Grogu and how he's like almost comfortable taking his helmet off. To see his interaction with her, I don't even know what to expect. How that would go.
I think if it does go the route of uniting his people, she'd be the key player for the Watch. She seems like their leader type figure, having helped everyone presumably evacuate after they unearthed themselves and staying behind and taking care of a shit ton of stormtroopers. I she seems like the one calling the shots, and it'd be a little stupid to have her character end there, especially when all we're going off of is assumptions on her.
Yeah.
So if anything, she could be a disgraced Mandalorian for all we know, because she's clearly worked with Beskar. She has to have started at some point. So maybe that's her character.
I see the horns on her helmet. I think of Maul's Death Watch automatically. Um, the one that he, I guess, kind of took control over, and I feel like there's some sort of connection with that because again, like that idea of the outsiders controlling Mandalore. With Din, there's a parallel with Maul, where he's like this crazy person who just wants to rule and a little bit of power wherever he can get it. Meanwhile, Din, he doesn't want power. He doesn't want to be a ruler. He just wants to like either kill people and take bounties or settle down and like just take care of his kid. Um, and we see that change in him where before he just wanted to vibe and like kill people and make Beskar for his tribe. But then his shift of priorities happened when he met Grogu. But now that Grogu's out of the picture, like where does he go? Does he shift back? Does he revert back to who he was? Does he rise up and now take on this leadership position to create a home planet that's safe for his new son? Um, and it'll be exciting to see where he goes with that in context with what the armorer had taught him all these years. Because if she had been grooming, I guess that the tribe, as they call it, uh, to operate in like the old Death Watch ways, I think it'll be kind of crazy. I mean, kind of like scary to see um, the potential of like villain-ish kind of characters that she can bring in.
I'll tell you why I'm not super fond of the whole uh, connection between Maul's Death Watch and her horns, and it's just that um, when Din was taken in as a child, um, he must have been taken by he was a child of the Watch, like that's the term, right? So So they were around at that point during the Clone Wars, pre-Maul, or around the time of Maul taking over Death Watch.
Yeah.
And they weren't Maul's Death Watch.
No, not yet.
Right. So I had a point. I don't know if I kind of just ran into a brick wall here. So, all right. Do you think that they're the ones that took in Din were Death Watch?
Yeah, they had the Death Watch logo on their shoulder pad. The one who reached down after the B2 battle droid was shot down, he had the pad. So I think those were Death Watch, and then at some point, Death Watch was taken over.
But Death Watch, okay, back on track here, kind of different track. Death Watch didn't have this rule of not taking your helmet off and stuff.
That's true. That's also true. Yeah, I don't know if it's because maybe Maul already took over, and those Death Watch operatives were just, I guess, still wearing the armor, but because there's like a significant amount of time between Maul like killing Duchess Satine, and then Maul in season 7 being like that, being located as the ruler because he had Almec as the regent and involved as the, I guess, the standing figurehead. So I don't know.
Do you think it maybe could have been a like sub-faction similar to like what Bo-Katan did, where she left the Watch after Maul took over? Maybe others did as well, and they just had some disagreement or some different beliefs, and they tried their best to carry on their ways while also protecting themselves in a way, because I feel like the not taking the helmets off would be like a reputation thing, because everyone knows Mandalorians as these people with like the T-shaped helmets, armored the hell out, jetpacks, all that fun stuff. So maybe developing that as a way to protect and preserve what they had left after Maul took over, seeing that he probably changed the culture in a significant way.
I think that's possible. That's
maybe. Actually, you know what else does support that too? Them being Death Watch or part of Death Watch is that there is someone with the name Vizsla in the Watch.
Yeah, Paz.
Yeah. So maybe we do know that. I mean, we see in Rebels that there are other factions of Mandalorians out there that are just completely separate, like the Protectors.
Yeah, Fenn Rau, right?
Yeah. So maybe, I mean, there's so many like worlds within like the Mandalorian system. So I guess anything could really happen. They never say where Navarro is, right?
I don't think so.
Like
I figured it's just another smuggler's haven, kind of like Nar Shaddaa.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it has no relation to Mandalore.
I don't believe so. I think that's just where the Coven was hiding.
Maybe that's something I could touch upon later down the line, of like why that was chosen, of being either its relation to Mandalore is it's within proximity enough to make an escape, but not super close where they'd be suspected to hide out, or it's just on the complete opposite fucking end of the galaxy. And we're getting as far away and trying to start new somehow.
Definitely something that interested me as well when they first started showing the all the Mandalorians hiding out, was they show them all with different armor and whatever, and the armor is super unique with her helmet and everything. And then you have Din and you have Paz Vizsla, who look completely different in color and all. Yet the Mandalorians that took in Din were all uniform.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
So
I think After the
There
purge,
definitely could have been a big change at some point.
yeah, I think after the purge of Mandalore happened, where like it was pretty much Mandalorian genocide by the Empire. I think after that, the coven or the covert, or whatever they're called, of people hiding under the armorer were just kind of ragtag groups who kind of just came in, who maybe were all children of the Watch, but were all, I guess, their clan heads within that Watch group maybe died, or they just needed a way to get together and after being separated and killed, you know.
That's a good point, because I gotta bring up, what was his name again? Tar Vizsla?
Tar Vizsla was the one who made the Darksaber, I think.
Yeah.
Or no, the one with Din and all of them.
Paz.
Paz Vizsla. Because doesn't he look very, like original Death Watch-ish? In like color scheme and
It's
everything?
blue.
He's got like the blue and stuff, but he's also heavy gunner armor, so I don't know if it's similar. Isn't he voiced by Jon Favreau?
Yeah. His self-insert.
Yeah.
I'm important, I promise.
I think it's like if he's gonna be anyone though, it's cool that he like made his two characters related.
Yeah. That,
He is
that's interesting.
Pre Vizsla.
Because, Pre Vizsla was the one who ran Death Watch for such a long time with the Darksaber and stuff, so I feel like we could see him come back, maybe provide that context for the Darksaber. Like if Din goes to meet with the armorer again after being like, my quest is complete, and now I have this thing, and Paz Vizsla could show up and be like, hey, my father or my grandfather made that or owned that, and that was made by my great great grandfather, and like, here's a story, and then that could provide all the context for the new people,
Yeah, I don't see Star Wars dwelling on something that they've covered already, because of that whole like Disney mindset where you're not just watching The Mandalorian, you have to be watching all of Disney's production. They're kind of like, not that I have no problem with it whatsoever. I'm really excited for all the projects that they're doing, and everything that's been done. But like, they're making it very similar to what they've done with Marvel, to where it's just like you're not watching a movie, you're watching a world.
Yeah.
So and they didn't. The only time that they covered Tar Vizsla was in Rebels, right?
Tar Vizsla, I think they covered a little bit of him in Clone Wars.
Did they also? Maybe they will go over that again. I don't know.
I think of all the places where they'd go over it, considering it was such a small part in Rebels and in Clone Wars, like while it did have its own arc, it wasn't the main focus of the show. When you have a show called The Mandalorian, and we're seeing bits of the culture develop, I think, regardless of it, if it's retreading ground, now's the time where you do it and you expand completely upon it, or as much as you think necessary.
I would hope so. I'm just
I understand the concern.
Yeah, and they even did like in episode 1 of season 2 when they introduced Cobb Vanth, they even do that backstory flashback thing where they kind of retread his story beats from the aftermath like inserts, and it's pretty similar to what happened, but there's like some stuff that's taken out or that's left out, but it gets like the main point across, and they did retread that even though it existed already in Disney media, so I don't know if that's just because it's a book and not visual media.
I think so. I do need to get into the books and the comics more. The only comics I watch or read are on like an Instagram page that just posts them, and even then I don't read a lot of them because I'm not super interested in these like really strange Legends comics. Not that I'm like I like a lot of the Legends stuff, but like I don't really care to see like this little in between thing that happens like right after Return of the Jedi that it just doesn't have to do with anything.
Yeah, I feel like you'd like the Darth Vader series that's happening right now. I think you'd be
I read most of it, I think. It starts like right after Revenge of the Sith, right?
Yeah, and they go and like he meets like he goes back to Naboo and he sees Padme's grave and stuff. It's pretty.
I think I got like that far, and then the guy stopped posting them. Yeah, no, it's a continuing series, like it's still going.
I believe so. I haven't been able to go to the comic shop recently, because disease. But um, I like that series and I like Dr. Aphra a lot. But that's just a very weird, crazy kind of series. But I like her. She's a great character.
Okay, yeah, I'll need to continue it then because that's probably been my favorite comic series so far.
Yeah, cool.
Now's your perfect excuse to continue it, because if we continue doing this, we're gonna
Yeah,
need
you can
material.
always-
Because God knows we've been working off of this with nothing prepared. Might as well prepare some other shit. So,
I could look into where they built the Arquitens class cruiser for next
no.
episode. I think it's probably Kuwait because that's where the shipyards are.
Yeah,
But I don't know for sure.
I just next time we do this, just have a list of not anything relevant, just like ships and manufacturers and why they're this way, and I guarantee you it takes up a good 45 minutes.
All I know about Kuwait is that the Jedi Boltar Swan is from there, and that's why I know this because she's cool. Which I'm mad that she wasn't in Clone Wars, but because she was in the old Clone Wars, the 2003 one, and she was sick, and she was in like the small comics based on that, and she had such cool scenes, and then they didn't add her. I'm so mad. What a waste of potential.
Alright. Is there anything else
Any
you think we
other?
should touch upon?
You think we could see any other like sequel trilogy kind of stuff coming in to any of the possible shows? Like, do you think Rogue Squadron will be in the sequel era, or like at least New Republic era?
I personally believe Rogue Squadron is gonna be like a Rogue One situation where it's at the height of the Empire's reign, or at not necessarily that, at the height of the Galactic Civil War, I think, because they do a whole bunch of like dirty work missions, right? None that no one else is gonna take. Or am I mistaken on that?
I think they just kind of do the cool stuff because
Okay.
like whatever needs to be done, they'll do it. But like they're under the command of General Syndulla after the New Republic comes into power. So I think if we see it past the Empire, because I think they kind of want to step away from that era now. Like they're very New Republic centered now to kind of flesh out this era that we haven't seen yet. And I think we could see it because in Squadrons they're mentioned. Wedge Antilles shows up and they're mentioned. Rogue Squadron is mentioned on being some secret mission. And the Alphabet Squadron books, I think Rogue Squadron is mentioned once, maybe or twice, and then Vanguard Squadron from the game is mentioned, I think. So I think we could see potentially like that secret mission they're going on. Maybe it has something to do with the Starhawk cruiser that they're building. Maybe it has to do with like assassinating old Imperial like leaders. But I don't know. We could continue talking and speculating like some other time though, probably.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to remember what the hell the original question was. I'm just seeing New Republic stuff, right? Or
Yeah.
sequel.
Anything past.
I think the best case we're gonna see of that would maybe be with Ahsoka. Simply because she's clearly still on this journey, and if Thrawn is still out there, and the First Order still, or is rising up, I'm sure he's somehow connected to that. So we'll not only see a lot more prototype First Order stuff, but maybe we'll see her fate, given her absence after Luke's order is gone. But I don't know. I don't know what else we'd other than the obvious ones like Rangers of the New Republic. Don't know what else we'd see specifically sequel trilogy oriented.
Yeah.
I really would like to see like not really associating with the sequel trilogy, but on the side of it in that era, I'd like to see. I don't believe, or I don't believe as if it's happened yet. I don't know what they're gonna do with the whole new Jedi Order and how they're gonna address that further. Like yeah, Luke put it back together and then it fell apart again. But I would like to see, because like it's a big galaxy, and he certainly didn't put it back to scale as it was in like the Clone Wars and whatever. I'd like to see if there's another Jedi Order built simultaneously. I think that'd be really interesting because Ezra's got to be out there somewhere, and I guess there's another Fallen Order coming out, right?
I believe they're working on Fallen
Yeah.
Order 2, yeah. But I don't think that he's building a temple because of the visions he sees in the holocron, and then he destroys it.
No, yeah, not that Ezra's building a temple. Just I know there's other Jedi out there, and I know that they're not going to end up at Luke's temple, or I don't think that they're going to end up at Luke's temple.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it would be interesting to see if something else was happening out there on the side, like if Cal Kestis ended up meeting Ezra, but they have no association with Luke, and like they have all these other younglings and whatnot. I don't know. I just think that would be a cool idea to explore.
I would love that, actually. I would like really, really love that, like a lot, because I love the Mantis crew, like, and Cal Kestis and all them, and I love the Rebels crew, and I would love to see more of them. And we know there are other like survivors of Order 66, like Oppo Rancis is, I think, the Snake guy, and then like Coleman Kaj, and potentially Quinlan Voss, who also has psychometry like Cal Kestis does. So I don't know. I think that'll be cool though.
Yeah.
I think I think it'd definitely be a wasted opportunity to not at least address that in some way. Because yeah, it is hard to believe that all the Jedi, all the remaining Jedi, and all the new ones were at Luke's order, and then were just dust. And Luke was somehow the only one to get away from it. Luke and Kylo, just because of how he ended up.
Yeah.
And apparently Grogu, because someone confirmed that he's okay.
Oh yeah.
Wait, who did?
I thought you told me actually, but
No.
I don't even. No, it might have been my friend who I was talking to him about it. I was like, I was a little upset actually that Luke took Grogu because it's gonna happen, and he was like, oh, I'm pretty sure someone at Disney said he's gonna be okay or whatever. I don't know.
Is his dad Jon Favreau? Did he tell him?
I think at this point though, Luke isn't establishing his order yet, because he's still on the hunt for like Sith relics and all that stuff. Like probably with Lor San Tekka, probably with Lando going on looking for old Jedi stuff, like Jedi texts, the sacred texts, those.
Yeah.
And then looking for old Sith relics, like we see in the Battlefront 2 campaign.
And that the dagger. Well, that's not a Sith relic, is it? That was just a Jedi.
It's Sith adjacent.
Yeah.
Well, they were looking for that guy. I just rewatched Rise of Skywalker. I can't remember his name already. That
Not
Jedi
important.
hunter,
He's dead. Doesn't matter.
The guy who was like in the snake den, right?
What?
The guy who fell into like that giant snake's cave. Like they found the skeleton.
Right.
Yeah. Was it Ochi or?
Yes.
Okay.
Why do you like? It does. It's not. It doesn't. It makes me unreasonably angry that you just
that he knows more than you.
Oh, not more than me, but just such a nothing character. That's like, hey, he's important to this one plot point, and bitch is dead, and we're not gonna talk about him again. And you're like, oh yeah, Ochi, I know that guy. And it's like, what the? How do you? Your mind baffles me. How it has it all at the ready.
I don't retain anything useful except for this. And even then,
What do you mean? This is useful.
Yeah. You're gonna be hard carrying this podcast for however long it goes on, because you're the resident Star Wars expert.
I just read Wikipedia a lot in my free time. But overall, I think there's a lot of potential for where we can go because there's a lot of stuff to discuss.
Yeah, certainly. And assuming we make notes one of these times, I think there's we could focus on very little specifics for entire episodes if we want to do.
Yeah, an Ochi episode.
What?
Let's do an Ochi episode. Why not?
Honestly, I could see doing a segment on that. Just the idea of that character, like a Jedi Hunter. What? We've never seen those that aren't Sith or whatever.
Excuse me, we've seen the big goopy guy from 2003 Clone Wars. I can't remember his name right now. He just regenerates dirt. Is it dirt?
Yeah.
Fuck.
He wasn't very goopy though.
When he exploded, he was goopy.
No,
That's
isn't anyone.
Listen, I didn't think it through, and I'm probably the least informed of the three of us on Star Wars.
Yeah, it's Dirge.
Yeah, so Dirge, he's a Jedi Hunter. Maybe he's Dirge's son.
Don't think so.
Dirge settled down after
Different
Order
looking
66,
characters.
and he's like, well, my job's done.
Maybe he just pulled a Palpatine and had a son. But it actually wasn't his son, it was a clone. But only that was mentioned in a book and not in the movie.
I think there's definitely a lot of theory we could talk about with High Republic too, before it actually comes out.
Yeah.
Oh god, I forgot about High Republic.
High Republic started already. The books are out, you can buy them. And
Oh,
comics and stuff are coming out next month. I cannot access this stuff yet, but I will try.
Yeah, they're like books.
Yeah, like novels and comics.
Maybe this is my gateway. Like Matt.
Maybe you could learn how to read. Yeah, you could learn finally.
I historically have hated reading for like my whole life, and I'm just bad at it now because I just never did it unless I had to. So maybe this is my way in.
We can make it a
That's
business
why I enjoy the
expense.
comics so much because I don't have to read that much.
If we get $10 from this, we can make it a business expense and just get a book for all of us.
That's true. We can do audiobooks. We can get a free Audible account if we sign up.
Shit! No, don't say that. We can't. We're not sponsored yet. We're gonna get caught. No, YouTube. I promise. We're not scamming.
Yeah, I'll have to do that, I guess.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think there's like a China only book that's coming out. Like it's only going to be in Chinese.
Then you're.
And I'm so mad because I cannot read Chinese. And it's one time
no.
a Jedi who looks like me and I can't read it.
Shit.
So maddening.
They took your art and then said, "Ha! If you're a real fan, you'll figure it out." Wait. Hold on a second. You can read Albrecht, right?
I can read Arabic, yeah, but that's just because it replaces the English letters.
Okay.
So...
I'm like, if you could read a whole fictional language, but you can't read your own, that's still a problem. You're not making it better. You can read two fictional languages, but not your language of origin.
And I can read Matoran from Bionicle.
That's it. I'm ending it. I told Peter last night. The moment you mention Bionicle, it's over. We're done.
Well, I think we're coming to about the hour mark, so I mean, it's kind of funny.
I know. But, damn.
I think we should just address for the future. Our plan right now is like yeah, we're recording this right now. Right?
Yes.
We're recording this, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's still recording. I've been checking.
Okay. We're recording this. We're putting it on YouTube, and for future reference, we want to live stream on Twitch, and then post it on YouTube.
Yes, the schedule for that is going to be a little bit weird, given I want to have this out by probably tomorrow or the day after we're filming this. But given this is to the people. Given where we're at right now, we're all on different college breaks. And when our semester starts back up, we're all going to be running on different schedules. So if we can stream probably bi-weekly, I think would be a good space in between. Figuring out days is going to be interesting. We want to have a consistent day, but for now we're just doing this when we can. So hopefully when that semester starts back up and we have kind of a formal schedule rather than just whatever 3 days, we'll be able to give you more information then, and I'll update the descriptions and all that. But yeah, for now,
and assuming we have any, I'm sorry.
No, go. I don't even know what the hell I was gonna say.
Assuming we have any viewers on Twitch, it'd be a lot easier to work off of the people in the comments.
Yes, and when those, I'll link the Parallel Horizons Twitter as well. So if anyone that's interested, you could go check that Twitter. We'll post when we go live and when new episodes are out. And if you're interested, please join us when we do these things, or even at us on Twitter on any topics you want to discuss or you want to see us discuss. That would be helpful for us, and then we want to not just make content that we enjoy, but content that everyone else can enjoy. Because first of all, it's Star Wars. There's a billion people that enjoy Star Wars, and to have new faces to discuss it probably would be interesting right now, because everyone's still locked down to some extent. So to get new content out there, sure would be appreciated. And just have something else fun to work with.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
So, alright, if that is all, I guess we could wrap up now, unless anyone else has anything else to say.
I have 5% battery left on the Mac.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, thank you everyone. This was fun.
Excited to do this again.
Again?
Should be good. What?
Okay. Excited to do it again? Telling me we're not your first attempt? That's rude.
No, I'll be excited to do this again next
never
time.
mind. I'm not offended, I promise. But yeah.
Overall, thank you, yeah. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you for anyone here at the start, or anyone that comes back, and if we continue to do this, and it will be significantly lower quality than whatever we do in the future, I'm sorry in advance.
We already know it's gonna be.
But I hope you all enjoy. I hope you all come back and join us. And yeah, I guess that's it. Okay,
You got it.
you have to. I can resist the urge.
Oh.
As of right now, this isn't strictly Star Wars. This is just the first one. There is no trend yet.
May the good vibes be with you.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's acceptable.
Okay, good.
Alright. Goodbye.
Alright, we'll see you.
We're so bad at this.
I mean, we can edit this part out.
No, this is also staying in.
Leave the call.
Uh-oh.
We need to script, or not script, but we need bullet points. Bad.
Yeah.
Oops.